No, I mean, it's just, I just let people know that, so when they come in, it's, when I start teaching and stuff, but right now I'm trying to just make sure that the right angle is up for the children that are online right now. Will you do me a favor? Will you just look on my computer, and when it goes,
Right on it?
yeah, actually, you just want to sit on my computer, and then if anyone says anything, just yell at me. All right, everybody, this is Mr. Hayden. This is chemistry. There will be more people live because I'm going to yell at a bunch of people during the intranets. No, you guys are awesome. You all showed up. Here for chemistry? All right, come on in, have a seat, relax. We'll get going. All right, for this week in chemistry, next week there'll be a lab, but this week there's not a lab, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of navigate the class, kind of give you my expectations, things that are going to help you out and hopefully be successful. So let's go ahead and, if you have any Cornell note sheets, go ahead and pull them out. Perfect, yeah. We're going to go over that actually during this session. Go ahead and come on in, have a seat. Okay, that'll probably be better, I'm guessing, for people on the intranets. It'll take about a 30-second lag. All right, this is the first time doing this, so it's kind of cool, kind of different setting up. People live, you guys are going to get credit today, no big deal. Basically, you're going to sign in at the end, and that's it. You get that 10 points, easy peasy. The people online, they have to do some other stuff, and then they have to be able to post it and hopefully get to it in time. Because you should be here in person. You heard me. Be here in person. It's better. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over chemistry. This is just the beginning parts of how this class works. People that weren't here last semester and it's new. Some things have changed and some things have not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over those particular changes. I'm also going to make sure I set the expectation on what, let's go ahead and take that and I'll show you what that is in a second. What I actually would love to see for Cornell notes. Because sometimes what y'all do and what I kind of think is actually something that is beneficial, they don't match. So look at the science notebooks last semester, which we're going to go over during this little session. Some of them weren't very good, just to be blatantly honest. Some of them were awesome, some of them just weren't very good because the time wasn't put in and the effort wasn't put in. That's the only reason. So we're going to go ahead and get going on this. So this is chemistry, obviously. I'm Mr. Hayden. So anytime you guys need to come into the school, you guys are more than welcome to. Just look for me. All right. Woo. Just kidding. I'm just going to go together. So a few things that we're going to go over this semester, which is different than, or some things are new and some things we just need to reiterate, is obviously I want to know for the people here how your break was, and I'll get to that in a second. And then also we want to make sure we'll see what we're doing this week, and then we're going to see what changed for this semester. And by the way, if you guys see any misspellings, don't point it out, okay? I'm dyslexic, and I barely got through English. I'll be straight honest with you. I'm good at everything else. So don't point it out. How do you set up? We're going to look to see how do we set up our science notebook, and then also how to take notes effectively. So that's what we're going to be going over this session. So the important part, for the people who are here, not people on the internets. I mean, you can type in a little text box, but it's going to take me a second. Just so you know, there's about a 30-second lag time. So we're priority password, so come live next time. How's your break? It's okay if you record your voice? Oh, cool.
It was good.
Cool. Yeah, just hang out, eat some food.
Yeah.
Get any presents?
Yeah.
You gonna make me jealous of your presents? You're gonna make me jealous of your
Yes. Yes. Mine were better.
Yeah, probably. I just got an iPhone 6 Plus. An iPhone 6 Plus. All right. So, how was your break?
It was quiet.
Quiet? Just
Watched
sat in
a
the
lot
closet
of
again?
movies and slept a lot. It's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Well, I wish I could sleep, but I have a 2-year-old. They're awesome. You also got stitches. Yeah, bust its head open. It happens. That's now recorded on the internet. Now my wife will get mad at me. How was your break, man?
Good.
Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah, just sleep.
How's your New Year's? You guys drink your Coca-Cola and stay up till midnight and go, yay!
That's every night.
Yeah. Or did you? We just go. We call 365 days a year 0.25 because there's a leap year every 4 years. No. Whatever. So I'm good. So it looks like there's a smiley face on the break. So hopefully we get a better break during our March break, which we just call Mr. Hayden's birthday break at this school. They like to call it spring break. I don't like to call it that because it's for my birthday. At least the way they do it. It's really nice of them. So we'll go through this. Now, for the people who can't see it at the internet, look on your calendar. I don't even know if they can even see me when I do that, but I'm just going to keep creepily doing that. Obviously, Monday, there was no school. All right, so we know that one, so that one's done. Easy peasy. Today you're doing your live session. You're here. That's way cool. And it looks like we're going to basically, even today, what we're going to even kind of go over, we're going to go over what we're supposed to do Wednesday. So the people who are here, and even people who watch this on the internet and actually do what you're supposed to do, tomorrow's kind of like an off day. Just log in and hang out and then good stuff. Because we're going to do tomorrow's today too. So we're going to do 2 and 1 today. So we're going to be done with this today too. And just remember, basically you're going over Unit 1 all the way to Unit 1, Lesson 3. And you'll be taking quizzes on Unit 2, Lesson 2 and Lesson 3 on Thursday and Friday. So that's what this week looks like. So what changed this semester? For the people who were here last semester, I wasn't doing this. Not really. We wanted to move more towards a blended model or blended instruction because we were feeling that some of the people on the internet, like, they don't need me. Like, you know, those kids that they just don't need someone else. They just kind of like go off on their own and just like learn on their own. And then there's the kids that basically need to stand in front of them like 5 days a week. So we're trying to do a blended where we start with one day and try to get both the best of both worlds, and so we can help everyone. All right, so that's why we're doing this. So there will be a weekly in-person class. Obviously, it's going to be today for the people who came in and not the people who are on the internet. Try making it. This class will go over the same information and the Class Connects used to go over. There'll be more teacher feedback, and obviously you get to look at me. That's fun. Most people like to look at me, except for my wife. She doesn't like to look at me, but it happens. It's 5 years of marriage. It happens. All right. The labs, and for the people on the internet and people who don't know me, that reference to my wife happens all the time, and I make fun of myself, and we just have fun with it, okay? And I make fun of her, but she can't know it because, dang, it's being recorded, isn't it? All right, these labs will also be on this day. So the really cool part is, like, say this week there was a lab on Wednesday, like whatever, or Thursday or Friday or whatever it is. We're going to do it on Tuesday. Like, I just basically do that on that day. So what's really cool is you show up on that day, you get your lab taken care of, and guess who's off that lab day on your schedule? You guys. So you guys basically have that day as not an off day, but like a catch-up day. So 2 birds, 1 stone. So coming in person is better than not. All right, so we'll do that. And plus, if you're planning on going through a Cal State or a UC, you have to come to those labs. And those are in your class under the announcements. All right, so these in-person sessions, obviously for your science class. Now, if you have a D or an F in the class, required. You have to show up. So this week, obviously, no D's and F's. Everyone has an A, right? We just started. So that's why so many people in. But starting like next week and the week after, you'll start to get to see this class. Hopefully not getting fuller because D's and F's are bad, like make them come in. But I'll have a sign-in sheet. They don't show up, they're dropped. That's the way it works. So keep your grades up if you don't want to have to come in person, and if you love to see me, just come in anyways. Like, is that how you're on, by the way? I said talk to last week. Yeah, you know I talked to him? All right.
Yeah.
All right, so again, those are required for D's and F's, and then you have to also, for whatever class you have a D and F in, you have to go to the sessions. So look at your calendar for that. All right, so last semester when I was looking at your guys' science notebook, some of them, again, were awesome, some of them were not. And some of them were just miscommunication of clarification, and so we're going to go over that today just to make sure everyone's awesome sauce. All right? So let's go over it. Now, if you don't know where to find it, when you go to your class, wherever it's at, basically, bottom left-hand corner, click on that science notebook. It'll have the exact same information I'm about to go over. But I just want to make sure I point them out. Now, the cover page is required. It's about 100 points of your score. Some people got like 115 points. I mean, the good ones got like 100, out of 100, they got 115. That's better. because they like blew me away, and they're like, oh, here's the organization, and here's fold-out maps, and here's my, it's like, it was ridiculous, some of them. And then some of them were like 3 pieces of paper going, this is my science notebook. And they're like half crumpled up and like Crayola all over. It was like, you'd be surprised. All right, so here's some of the requirements that you need to have on it. You need to have the name of the class on there. So chemistry, hey, write chemistry on it. All right, you need to have my name, Mr. Hayden, AKA coolest teacher in the world. You can put those in quotes if you want to, but everyone kind of knows it. And then if you want to also put the dates and the times for your live session. So, you know, obviously Tuesday, 11 o'clock. Hey, is that what this is? Yeah, Tuesday, 11 o'clock. And then also any other like pictures or anything you want to do. So if like, I don't know, not just like draw a picture of like a random like atom or something like that and go, there's my extra credits. Look at, I drew on it. Yeah, that's not going to count. But if you want to draw on it or even find like cool pictures and stick them on there, the more stuff, you'll actually get extra credit for that. 5 points? Was it 5 or 2?
2.
It was 2 for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad. All right, so your table of contents. Now this one was the one where it needed clarification. Everyone tried really hard to do this, but they just needed the clarification component. Basically, for every single page you put in your book, I want that page written down. You can do it later, because who knows if you're going to add a page or not. So, I mean, towards the end of the semester, after a unit, go back and be like, okay, page 3 was Unit 1, Lesson 3, this is the title, and whatever, and I'll go through what the titles are for each lesson for you guys. But you definitely need to do that, and so it's not just like 4 lines, it should fill up at least 2, maybe 3 pages of total amount. Depends how many pages you have in your book. Okay, and if you want to just do 1 unit, and if it's pages, say 4 through 6, you can do that, that's fine. But, you know, but make sure each unit, each lesson is written down themselves. Now this is the one that confused people, and I kind of like scratched my head, and I was like, how is this hard? I thought it was like 3 points, like literally like reaching in my pocket and like throwing points at people. But basically it's just a graph of your quizzes and your tests. So what you do is on the y-axis, which is the left side, not the bottom. Surprise how many questions I get of that. You put the percentage, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way to 100, okay? And then on the bottom, or the x-axis, for the people paying attention at home, it's going to be what unit. So, example, your first one you're taking is what? Let's go back. Go back. You can do it. You can do it. You're good. Go. So your first quiz, and by the way, color coordinated everything this year. Hey! Red means quiz or test. So your first one will be unit. You can't really tell there, sorry guys, but you can look in your announcements or in your calendar. Unit 1, lesson 2 will be the first one. So you'll write that down on the bottom on the x-axis for the very first line. And whatever you get, yeah, mark it above it. And you just do that all the way through the semester. This is the reason. As you go through your you're taking your time going through it, sometimes you'll start to see trending downwards of your scores, and it's typically right around, I don't know. Are you okay? Am I keeping you? Right around the break, it's kind of like, oh, and then it's like you start to see it. And when you see your trend going downward, study more. You know that you are slacking off. It's a visual representation of you slacking off. Or you're really not understanding getting up to the unit test. There should be 2 lines. There should be one's quizzes and one should be tests. 2 different lines on the same graph. Make sense? Makes sense. Good. And that's required, by the way. So next one is lesson notes, and we're actually going to go over a lesson of notes today. Basically, Cornell is I changed this. Cornell is preferred, not required, preferred. Now, if you don't have a way of taking notes, Cornell is your way of taking notes. There it is. Because if you don't have a way, that's your way. Until you learn your own. Now in college, I used to tell people this is, in college, I'm not like the smartest guy in the room sometimes. I'm not. But sometimes. Let's not get big credit. Most of the time, yeah, I know, but sometimes I'm not. The difference between, say, me and, say, a guy taking, because I took art history, by the way. Art history. I have a business finance degree. I took art history. Yeah, I know. I'm in this podium with 400 people, second highest grade in all the classes. Only reason is I took good notes. That is literally the only reason that I did well. So I actually think note-taking is very important. That's why I'm going to focus on it today. So if you don't have one, use that. I didn't use Cornell notes any time in my whole life until now. So there is a way to be successful. I'm call myself successful, sorry, without taking Cornell, but you have to have a style. So if you don't have, so I'll look at your notes and I'll tell you straight like, oh, that's pretty effective, or ooh, wow, you have all Fs. That's not really effective at all. So we'll work on that. That's what we're going to do today. On your notes, basically, you need to have 5 key points. You're going to have your vocab on that list. You're going to have your name. You're going to have your lesson name, the central concept, all that. Mr. W.
Okay.
Aren't you going to say hi to everyone on the internets? Yeah. It's going to be so out of focus. And usually a blob.
Blur.
I saw a movie about this person. All right. So. What is it?
The Blob,
Sure, we'll go with the blob in the 1930s.
1980s too.
Oh, really? There we go. All right, now your lab assignments. I do want your lab assignments, obviously, you're going to be done here. Now, when you do them here, I just write down your name. I know you did it. You get credit. Easy peasy. Now, when you're at home, you have to turn that in. So, CamScan, however you're doing that, you have to get that to me so I can grade it. Then, you also have to just take that and put it in your notebook, and that needs to be in there as part of it. So I want all your lab assignments in your notebook somewhere based on how you're putting it together. That's still up to you. So that is important. Vocab list. Now this right here, I do not want this copied and pasted from the internets. This is the part is I will lean a little bit, I will waver from the fact it has to be its own section in the back. As long as I look through every single one of your lessons and I see them specifically written down on your lessons. If I see that, we're good. If not, I'm expecting to see it in the back, and if I don't, you're getting marked down for it. Deal? Deal? You have to say deal out loud because they can't hear you. Deal. It's funny, no one can see you, so it's fine. I was going to be like, who's that girl that said deal that one time? Alright. So how can I take effective notes? Now, effective notes are important pretty much to anything, okay? So let's look at some. So this right here is your Cornell Notes setup, the one that we give you, okay? So there's obviously your name. Do I need to go over that? No, we're good. You guys know your names? Good. Just making sure. I don't know. Some people may not know their name. Class is obviously chemistry and then today's date. So this would be what you want to write down today on your piece of paper. So I gave you guys all a Cornell sheet template. If you have your own notebook already set up, you can use that as well. But go ahead and write your name, chemistry, and then today's date. Now, this right here is a snapshot, if you haven't seen it yet, of one of our slides from our lesson. This is actually tomorrow's lesson that I snapshot. When you look at this, it's basically semester introduction, all right? Now, the unit's name, and that would actually, in a second I'll show you, it would go down to where the lesson topic is. It's the states of matter. And you can't tell, but I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen, but I can do this. Get used to this. Right there. So this right here is where your topic is going to be, and that'll be for every single one. If more specifically, you can even write down the semester introduction, either way. And then you write that down, and that would be your topic. That would be the top middle line, and right there, you basically wrote that in there. And this is all for organizational sakes. I know sometimes it's tedious to write this all down. It does take an extra, 4 or 5 seconds, but it does, down the road, make it easy to relate to, especially if you're on a quiz or a test and you need to access that information. You can easily flip through the top and figure out exactly what page you actually need to read. So here you go, states of matter. So a lot of people ask me, well, what is the essential concept or what is the goals for these lessons? Because it asks for that in the concept. Every single lesson on, I think, the second slide, and the slide numbers down here, gives you the goals for lessons. Sometimes they're one goal, sometimes they're 4 goals. Whatever they are. The goal is, if you know that, by the time you're done studying for that set, you should ace the quiz, and then ace the test. That's the goal. And so all of them are right there. So all you would do is you just write that down. So it says describe the topics of your chemistry course. And that would be it right there. So write it into the box, and basically that's what it should look like. Pretty straightforward, right? Yay, happiness. Alright, so you just write that down, and we're ready to, now everything is set up. Everything is organized to be able to actually, go ahead and start the actual assignment. So, when you look at this, and this is where we're actually going to get into the assignment for technically today, is that, in chemistry, for the people that were here last semester, as well as hopefully when it's last semester in your chemistry club or again, what school did you?
TV.
Well, hopefully they went over this, right? Basically, there's gases, there's solutions, there's acid-base relationships. That's what we go over to kick off this semester. So Unit 1 basically is going to introduce behavior of gases and the kinetic energy that goes along with that. And this is where yourself, on your notes, you would write this down in your note component. All right. So on your science, right here, this is where you go, Mr. Hayden said this, and this is what I read. You could ask yourself questions. Focus more on this section of your note-taking if you're a beginner, because that's just your notes. Then you actually over here start asking some questions that go along with it. That'll come later as you become more professional at this. It's just hard sometimes just to get that left and right at the same time. Just go ahead and take notes. So people in this class, I'm going to go ahead and just speak and kind of go through it and just write it down as you think something's important. Sounds good? By the way, most things I say are important, except for the stuff that I say is not important. All right, so Unit 1, we're going to that. Unit 2, we're going to talk about solutions. So we're going to look at more of a, like liquid type substances, and talk about solvents and solutes and how they go into solutions and various parts of that. We're going to look at the physical properties and the components. Unit 3, we're going to be talking about acids and bases. So we're going to obviously look at the acidic scales and looking at from what is a 1 compared to say 10, whatever it is, and looking at what's neutral and how to neutralize them and all that different stuff. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk about strengths of acids, an OH negative compared to an H plus, things like that. A lot of fun stuff. Bunch of letters with some number, with a little plus and minus at the top. It's amazing. All right? So, just so you know, after this, I'll stop the recording. If we can go back for people here in session, and we can go back and actually get the notes so you don't have to do this tomorrow. Unless you just want to do tomorrow, then peace out. All right, so in Unit 4, we're going to examine the energy associated with both chemical and physical changes. So actually, like a chemical change would just be, I hate to say that. I guess, mixing salt with water. Kind of, even though you can separate it physically again. I don't like saying that. It's a better one. Baking. Yeah. You can go ahead and put your eggs and all that stuff in the thing. You bake it with some heat. It obviously creates a change. It creates a cake. And I love cake. I take cakes for bribes. Banana bread, more specifically. Just saying it. Without nuts. If you bring in nuts, I will fail you. Then we also talk about physical changes. So such as if you're going to be, taking a fire, you're burning a firewood. Obviously, you have all this wood inside of your, inside your fireplace, whatever. So you're burning it, and what it's going to do, it's going to change from a state of solid to an acid, or to a gas state, and it actually physically changes it. Actually, completely makes it different. So that's a physical one. Sorry. And then we're going to also talk about just how energy kind of goes in and how energy equilibrium also takes place. Unit 6, we're going to look at electrical energy and vice versa. We'll look at like electric cells, so kind of like batteries and whatnot, and how that moves across that. We're going to look at carbon-based compounds in Unit 7. We're going to look at some naming conventions, which we already talked about last semester a little bit, but we're going to go more into that. We're going to talk about carbohydrates, fats, or lipids, and proteins. Then we're going to talk about Unit 8. Particles, force, reactivity, things like that. And then Unit 9 is its own little unit test. There's really not a lot going on with it. I believe, do you guys have any labs in this unit? Did
you say 4?
I think it might have been 4. I couldn't remember if it was bio or chem, but one of them had 4. So there's not a lot of labs itself, so a lot of it's going to be specifically to the book. All right, and just so you know, I couldn't find a way to get this to expand, but this semester topic, you definitely want to go ahead and click on that. It'll make it easier for you to understand the flow chart of it, okay? And then there you go. And really, guys, that's it for the people on the internet. So I'm going to show a video to the people here through the YouTube. And everything's done, by the way, right now for me. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so it can post. And then I'll figure out how to do that later, because it's the first time I'm doing that. And then you guys, I'm going to throw a video up, and then you guys can peace out. Unless you want to go ahead and go through the stuff. So we'll go ahead and stop that.